Hey everybody, happy Friday. Doug here. Video number 10. Can you believe it? Can you believe that we've been talking for 10 whole weeks? I'm excited because, like I've mentioned before, I'm on a 52-week quest, commitment really to myself to post something here of value, teach something here of value every week, and share it on my Facebook page. And I finally hit double digits, so I'm excited. So in honor of the 10th video, I want to give a 10-week video shout out to some of my friends and super fans that have given me engagement, given me likes, and really mainly just encouraged me. These are people that I know. So I want to give a shout out to Judith Pointer in New York, Gloria Whitfield in Chicago, Johan Lindstrom in Denver, my mom and dad, hey mom, hey dad, in Denver, my good buddy Matt Marcus. There's a couple folks from India, Ashish Katach and Harish Kumar. Keep it going, guys. Share it with your friends. I really want to get to know you guys. And of course, my lovely wife, Nuris. So I want to thank you guys for encouraging me, for the emails, the phone calls, the likes, the shares, the engagement. I really, really do appreciate it. Okay, so today we're talking about the Eisenhower Box. And before I get to that, I wanted to just share a story of why we're talking about this today. Basically, it's to answer the question of why don't we accomplish our goals, in general, or why does it take so long to accomplish our goals? And so the Eisenhower Box is something that we came across at work. So we've used it in careers and nonprofits for a few years now. And basically it's a concept that the old president, 34th president of the United States, Dwight Eisenhower, who was also a military general, he'd come up with at some point during his career, and he used it as a decision matrix. And somewhere along the line, time management people, probably a professor somewhere, got a hold of it and started using it as a productivity matrix. And when I started looking at this and just understanding the basics of it, okay, I'm not an expert in it, but I know how we've applied it. It's really helped to understand why we don't accomplish our goals or why it takes longer to accomplish our goals. And it's a tool that we use internally at our company to highlight someone's productivity, and how they're spending their time. How we can look at it and analyze their time and then say, hey, if we're spending time here, we're going to accomplish this, but if we spend time over here, we're going to accomplish this. Okay, you guys following that? All right, so behind me, what we've got here is the beginnings of the Eisenhower Box. I just want to model it out for you guys, talk a little bit about it, and then apply it to self-care. Because again, we're week 10, and I know some of you have tried some of the tools, the techniques that we've talked about. We've talked a lot about conceptual stuff, but ultimately I want to propel you into action. I want you to try some of this stuff. I want you to get in the game and take from me, take from others, but really find out for yourself. Find that goodness, find that well-being, find that inner strength, find that health, find that vitality that you deserve. Because I know I deserve it, I know you deserve it, I'm seeking it, I'm finding it, and I want you to do the exact same thing. All right, Eisenhower Box, here we go. So we got Eisenhower Box right up top, and I've got a quadrant. Basically, the beginnings of two axes that will form a quadrant. Upper left-hand corner is quadrant 1. We're going to call this quadrant 1. And we'll just finish it off with some dashed lines. Here's quadrant 2. Right? Can you guys guess? We're going clockwise. Quadrant 3. And quadrant 4. Okay, now, there's a couple of things that are important to know about these quadrants. And when we start looking at our activities, our behaviors, our choices, or how we're allocating our time, there's really only two categories that we're looking at that are sliced up 4 different ways, okay? And it's basically the relationship of what's important and what's not important, and the relationship of what's urgent and what's not urgent, okay? So above the line, these things are gonna be what's important. Below the line is gonna be what's not important. To the left, right, these two quadrants 1 and 4 is gonna be what's urgent, and quadrants 2 and 3 is what's not urgent. Okay, so let me just label that real quick. So quadrant 1 is urgent and important, right? Okay, to save time, I'm not gonna write them all. I'm gonna write them all afterwards and post this chart in the comments so you can see a picture. I'm just gonna use initials for now. So this is not urgent, but important. All right, I'll write urgent so you can see that. Okay, not urgent, but imp. All right, important. Okay, quadrant 3, this is gonna be urgent, so I'll do URG. and not important. So I'll write not imp. Okay? You guys following that so far? Okay. And this would be what? Can you guess? Right. It's going to be not urgent. So I'm going to do not urge, not, you got it, important. Okay, not imp. Okay. So now we have our 4 categories. Okay, now we want to start looking at our choices, looking at our behavior, looking at our time, or whatever it is, and start putting them in here and figuring out why we're not accomplishing our goals. If you really want to take this to the next level, you would identify, hey, what is the things that are important and what are the things that are urgent, not urgent, and let me just focus there. That's ultimately where you want to get to, is to program your time, program your day, program your activities, and focus on things that are only important and that are either urgent or not so urgent. This is where we want to be, only on important stuff. We don't want to be here. This actually is good for anything you're trying to accomplish, not just health or vitality. Here's the trap, and this is what Eisenhower said. I'm going to have to read the quote. I memorized it, but I'm going to read it. He basically said that, what is important is seldom urgent. So what is important is seldom urgent, right? That's that quadrant 2 stuff. But what is urgent is usually seldom important. I added a word in there, usually, that's not the quote. But basically what he's saying is what's important is usually not urgent, and what is urgent is not important. Fast forwarding, or in modern times, or in my words, is basically telling me that this, quadrant 4, what I'm calling quadrant 4, is a trap. Because a lot of times we're sucked into what feels urgent, right? It feels urgent. In our office, in recruiting, it's like someone's always calling, someone's always emailing, there's always someone to respond to, and they have questions about something, but it's not usually important for what it is that we're trying to be proactive on, or the project that we're working on. Not to say that we're not going to get back to them, but their immediate need for information or immediate request for whatever is definitely not urgent, but it feels like it. And so this is the trap. A lot of us get sucked in here into the urgent, not important, basically because we're busy, right? And our self-care, our health and well-being is the same thing. And so I want to look at that. I hope that makes sense, okay? These are the quadrants. This is the trap. This is where a lot of us spend our time on what feels urgent, but it's absolutely not important. What we want to do is shift up here. We want to be working on things that are vitally important, but not urgent, so we're not scurrying around. We want our baseline level of activity, whether it's at work or play or whatever, our relationships. We're talking about health right now, our vitality. We want it to be up here in quadrant 2, okay? Doing the basics, doing the things that we know make sense every day because they're important. They're vitally important, but they're not urgencies, okay? They're not urgencies. All right, so let's look at a couple of examples of this, okay, and what you can do. But first, let me tell you an example with self-care, okay, right here, okay? This is what I want you guys to avoid, and really why I'm talking about the Eisenhower Box, because a lot of us, when it comes to health, now let's apply it to our self-care, okay? When it comes to our health, we tend to jump to one thing and really focus on that and put a lot of weight on that activity to help us, or we think or we believe that it's going to make us feel good, okay? Here's my example. Hopefully we can ground this for you. Now, you guys know my story by now. I'm that tuna guy, right? Lost over 100 pounds by eating 1 can of tuna a day when I was a teenager, right out of high school, and so forth. But I'd spent 10 years getting that way, okay? Overeating and so forth. There were times where I was looking for that magic pill, that silver bullet, if you will, where I could just do this one thing and watch the weight melt off, okay? Now, back in the day when I was like 15, 16 years old, some of you might remember this, there was Dexatrim. There was a product called Dexatrim. And there's other products like it out there now, like Hydroxycut or whatever. It's basically speed. You take it and it increases your metabolism, ups your heart rate. It's really not healthy for you. I don't know if it increases your metabolism, but it increases your heart rate. And so you're constantly walking around with the jitters, and supposedly that's supposed to burn calories. Something like that. That's the theory. Okay, but I believe these things were marketed heavily on TV and whatnot when I was a teenager, and I believed in my mind that if I just took these Dexatrim pills, it would solve all my problems. I can remember going to the grocery store, driving my car down to the grocery store and going to the diet aisle and just having major anxiety about just trying to grab these pills and buy them. You had to be 18 because I think it was probably speed, for adults back in those days, and they don't even sell Dexatrim anymore, I don't think. But I remember just being like, I want these pills, it's gonna solve everything. I'm not old enough, I don't have an ID, but I just believe it is urgent. If I get them now, I'm gonna solve my problem. Okay? I hope you guys are following this. What I'm saying is I felt like that was urgent. I felt that one thing was gonna make a difference, but it ultimately was not important. Okay, hopefully you guys are following that. If we've listened to anything that I've talked about nutrition, diet, exercise, rest, hydration, all those things that are important on a day-to-day basis, the pill isn't going to do one thing. But a lot of us, people I talk to, when they're talking about their health or how do I feel better, they're looking for their own version of the dextrin pill. What's that one exercise, or what's the one food, or what's that one workout that I'm going to do, or here's my workout plan now. That stuff is good, but it's, we make it urgent and we put all of our chips on that one play, and it's hard to stick to, because again, our health, our vitality, our bodies, our systems, they're dynamic, and there's more to it than that. It's not just one thing, and it's definitely not urgent. Health is not an urgency if we're doing all the right things. Okay, does that make sense? So I want to get us out of quadrant 4. I want to get us into quadrant 2. In fact, I want to get us above the line so we're only working on important things. And that's what we're talking about here on these videos, okay? So real quick, I'm already at over 10 minutes. I don't care. If you like these videos, you're going to stick with it and get the information, because this could actually change something for you, all right? Real quick, an example of what's urgent and important, okay? I'm just going to try and give a few examples real quick. There's probably better ones and more if you think about it and as you apply it to your own situation. But, your health, right? Diseases, sickness, I see those as urgencies, and that's important, right? The quality of your life is affected by it. Even your life could be affected by it. So these are urgencies. You have to do what you have to do to get healthy, right? Get out of sickness, deal with diseases. You got to go after it with all you got. It's your life, right? You got to go after it. So that's worthy of attention. Okay, but more often than not, if you're watching this video, you're probably not in that category. You're probably like me, or you were like me, versions of me, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or even 30 years ago, maybe, right? And so you got to be right here. Okay, you got to be working on and adding things to your day that are important, that you pay attention to, but they're not urgent. Okay, they don't make them urgent. It's not urgent to be hydrated properly. It's not urgent to pick the right foods and the right timing of your foods, to have good digestion. It's not urgent to have good breathing and not shallow breathe. It's not urgent to get good sleep. These are things that you need daily. You need to stack them up daily so that you feel that health and you can really get energy in the bank, right? And accomplish what you want from a health standpoint, okay? So those are things that are not urgent but extremely important. Everything that we've talked about, okay? What's an example of something that's not urgent and not important? Okay, you can come up with some of these on your own. I think it's kind of the same thing, focusing on that one thing. What's the exercise, Doug? I've had people over the years ask me, what did you do? They were trying to get really exact and follow my protocol for when I lost weight, which I would never recommend. Nobody's going to go out there and eat 1 can of tuna a day, except me, But, I think trying to figure out what's that one precise diet and what's the one food or set of foods, that's a waste of time. Okay, it's not urgent, but that's not important. That's not what's going to get it done. It's a mix of things, right? It's attacking your whole system and doing the things that make sense day to day. They're going to add up and give you momentum with your health. Okay, so what's also not urgent that we might do, but that's also not important? Consuming too much information, okay? Now, I'm making videos, I'm making content here, and I want you to consume this information because it makes sense. But at some point, you got to turn me off. You got to stop reading articles. You just got to stop looking at blogs. You got to stop talking to people. Stop thinking about it. You just got to go. You got to get into action. You got to get into the game, and you got to do something. Put the soda down. Drink the water. Stand up from the desk and go take a walk. Stop reading a book and go meditate. You got to get in the game and do it. So stop consuming information and go practice something. Okay, stuff like that. Okay, overanalyzing to the point where you're paralyzed. Okay, knowledge is great, but it never beats execution. Execution trumps everything. There's plenty of smart people that have been out there that have said that. Okay? All right, and we talked about here what's not urgent, or what's urgent but not important. I'll give you an example there. Okay? All right, guys, good to go? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I mean, it's the Eisenhower Box. Okay, I hope that it does. This is theory, okay, but it's a way for you to start organizing your thoughts, organizing your activities, and a way for you to start really getting honest with yourself. Because that's what we're after here. You know, we need a certain sense of personal accountability to know that change comes from within. We control it. We have the power to change our thoughts, change our emotions, change our diet, change our bodies. We can transform as little or as much as we want, but we have to focus on what's important. Let's not waste our time. Let's not get sucked in. This is, again, where the trap is. It's not anyone's fault. We're just busy and we're free. And so we get distracted, you know, and there's a lot of information out there. So don't do that. Be proactive. Get in the game. Focus on what's important. You know what's important. Now, don't make emergencies. Just do them every day. And you, my friend, will accomplish your goals. All right, we're at 15 minutes. That's my time. I really want to thank you for this 10th week video. If you've been checking them out and you like this, if you think about someone as I'm talking, please share it. Give me a like. Give me some engagement. Here's to your health and well-being, and we'll see you next week.